concocted a list containing all 96 brawlers currently in the game, as well as the worst part about facing each of them. Let me know how I did. Against the Shelly, if you get point blank supered, 9 times out of 10, that's on you. So the worst part about facing her is getting slowed from afar with shell shock and then being 1-2-3'd with the clay pigeons that deplete the rest of your health. Unlike that takedown that has you running slow, the worst part about facing Nita is one that doesn't let you move at all. That, of course, is when they hit you with the gadget that you can never hit them with, and you get stunned and stopped, and a hyper bear mauls you until you're a power cube. I personally don't find myself struggling against a Colt these days, but I mean, the worst thing about facing it is probably when you're Moyo and a 1v1 takes a fast turnaround, because Colt is very capable of granting that result. For Bull, it's not really that much of a question. This stun gadget is more annoying than the Mega Knight in Clash Royale. Let's see how fast he can react to the Tesla. Oh my! The worst part about facing Brock, of course, is when you think you've dodged his attacks, but then the shrapnel from the blast still bruises your bravado, all while the next wave of the barrage still makes its way towards you. Against El Primo, the most difficult thing about facing him is the fact that he's kind of like the king of canceling your moves if you play a shotgun style brawler, and he seems to always have a way to keep his distance from you while not letting you get the full value. There's no way it's just me. Against the Barley, the worst part about facing him is when your teammates are among the deadbeat folk who are attracted to the bottle, which in other words means they just run into the cocktails and fuel Barley's hypercharge, and suddenly he's barraging you twice in a game, and it just gets uglier. Against a Poco, the worst thing is actually going to be his underrated cancel things gadget. I once found out the hard way that it could prevent an ollie hypnotization, and this led to me wasting a hyper super when I was just trying to take advantage of his pre-nerf hypercharging capabilities. And against the Rosa, the worst part is the pain in the rear gadget that stabs you and slows you in the grass, and it gets exponentially worse when you turn around to run and she shoves her thorny fist right up in your face as she punches you with the triple cactus-clad fist that brings you down. The worst part about facing Jessie is when she launches a hyper turret at you, and you just happen to have a brawler who's not so well at taking it down. Seems like all 3 times I've faced a Jessie lately have been when my brawler was straight up scrappy bait that had me melted faster than a marshmallow. Now for Dynamic, it's a seemingly endless stun his satchel charge gadget leaves when you think it should be over, but then 2 more rounds and a super fly-in and boom 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 you before you can even breathe. Against Tick, I honestly just don't like constantly having to deal with his heads bouncing and ready to blast me, because in most cases that thing takes a bit of ammo to clear out. Not saying I charged the super though. Remember, I have 2 people that were supposed to be on my team. Against an 8-bit, the worst part is honestly when they play some sort of wacky cheese comp with a Mandy or a Dynamic or something, but the strategy actually works because he runs a LAN party in the booster console and he gets his teammates to one-shot you. Facing a Rico, it's quite simple. How did that attack hit me? It definitely should not have. His bouncing balls bust me when they really shouldn't have, but I can only conclude that they have the new technology that attracts them to the attractive. When I'm facing a Daryl, I hate this really specific struggle. Sometimes when he supers into you and there's a wall nearby, he can hit you twice with the same roll. The damage? Fine. The double knockback though? Unbearable. Here, I'm just trying to play Carl or something, but then I get bobbleheaded around like I'm up against Mike Tyson in his prime or something, and he's like, "This guy sucks at Brawl Stars." Okay, now, on Penny, it's this. I was playing my first matches after the Stranger Things update, and suddenly I kinda just got disappeared because I wasn't fast enough to dodge that gadget thingy. Skill issue? I don't think so. Let's just say she got lucky. Now, against Carl here, the worst part about facing him is the fact that he just seems to get the fire gadget really often and then proceeds to cook you time after time in the duration of the match. If I wanted to be deep fried, I'd just have been a lobster in this life instead. The worst part about facing a Jackie is when she proceeds to corner you in Brawl Ball and you have nowhere left to go and she hits you with the perfect pass super combo and you can't even pretend to prevent this pernicious fate. But to be fair, it's so relieving to be the Jackie in that situation. What's worse than that though is when you're against a Gus who literally pops you with a balloon. I never thought I'd see a support brawler doing 4,000 damage in like 2 milliseconds, but you best believe it's bankable, especially when you're the victim of this puff-popping peril. The worst part about playing a bow is... Hello? It's lagging again. You've probably dealt with this, right? Well, this Gooby here just doesn't know about the perfect solution. Let's show him. Jimbo, wake up, open ExitLag, connect it, and now play lag-free. ExitLag is the sponsor of today's video, and it's the one that can finally enhance your mobile gaming experience. ExitLag is new, and it was built exactly for us, the mobile gamers. It works with over 1,300 mobile games, running both Wi-Fi and mobile networks, and it's capable of lowering ping, reducing packet loss, and providing you with more overall gaming stability. If you have issues with lag, disconnecting, or unstable ping, then you sound like you kinda need ExitLag. By enabling ExitLag and then aligning the app and game regions, you can go from seeing bars of death to spamming stew supers and torturing the enemies in just a matter of a few clicks. Remember, ExitLag isn't just about lowering ping, but it also makes it a no spike zone, which by that I mean there's no more lag spikes. I'm sure you won't miss seeing this message, right? Anyways, there's no reason not to try ExitLag. I mean, I'm literally asking you to play your favorite game with a better connection. That's all I gotta say. Thanks ExitLag for sponsoring this video, and use my coupon code for 15% off when you're getting these prestigious features. The worst part about facing a bow is when he makes it a game of stun royale and he has a seemingly endless stream of mines that don't pinball you, but snare you upon impact. It only gets worse though, as each blast brings him nearer to his next wave of chaos. Against an Ems, I can't stand when she triple taps me with her attacks, and I'm overcome by both the stench and the damage of the 3 clouds that usually don't leave me alive. And don't say I should've rushed her, cause if I did, I'd just be repelled by the sonic flatulence she'd release if I dared to get too close. The worst part about facing Stu is how amazingly well he is at taking down most other assassins. Well, it really depends. Regardless, he outdashes the dashing assassin, he overtoxifies the toxic assassin, and he kinda just tortures the other newbie brawlers. What's worse than that though is playing against the Piper. Her gadget doesn't discriminate. It hits everyone. When she hits you with the auto aimer gadget, you immediately know 2 things. 1, she's using auto aim. 2, she's using auto aim. You can already tell that on the other side of the screen, there's some sadists spamming their thumb on the red button and watching 3 attacks go out and hit the now slowed enemy, ensuring their peril. Playing a brawler like Jackie made me realize one thing. Pam's scrapsucker gadget sucks to face against. One moment I'm a strong brawler with full ammo, and the next I'm drained entirely of ammo and I'm stuck with a really slow reload speed and I'm unable to do anything probably until I respawn. Playing against a Frank is pretty fun because having all that health helps you get a super, but at the same time it's quite torturous when the Frank strikes back, and by strikes back, I mean he has 3% health, so his attack unload speed is undefined. It's like the cotangent of 0. You've heard of one attack happening in the blink of an eye, but now suddenly Frank is capable of releasing all 3 that quick, and when you're in his range, it makes for having a really bad day. A lot slower than that though is the worst part about facing a BB. Ever since her balance changed, she's been hitting more home runs than the Pittsburgh Pirates will ever see. I'm talking, she can knock you back and already have the next one ready by the time she basically has full ammo. There's no way around this one anymore, and the torture only gets worse when you're using a brawler like Hank. If you take BB and cut it in half, you end up with B, whose worst possible encounter is when she manages to hit you with all 4 spinning drones from her gadget, taking away way too much of your health and only leaving you with the assumption that she got lucky. However, the Hive Havoc isn't over yet. If you survive that, she has a supercharged shot coming in your way to finish the job. Against a nanny, the hardest part is when she excels in trigonometry enough to the point where there's no hiding from her attack. This nerd definitely did her homework because the ankle-breaking angles surpass any structure and blast you to death. As for Edgar now, it seems like I always end up facing him when I'm playing a brawler that Edgar counters. Why couldn't I match up when I was Bull? Now I gotta get my Mr. P squashed on repeat by the no-skill spam tapper because he found a unit who just doesn't do this whole assassin thing. Up against a Griff, and I think it's the first time I'm saying this, it's got to be dealing with his hypercharge. There's no refund for the elo I lose here, just the sheer chaos he unleashes as his super goes through everything with a barrage of banknotes that hit me and my team. When I'm facing a Grom, I think the worst part about facing him is dodging his super. The regular attacks, those are child's play. His super though, that thing's a devout doom causer. I mean, no matter how fast you think you are, it's probably gonna hit you, and if you're unlucky enough, it will lead to your demise. The worst part about facing a Bonnie is when you hit her with some lovely effect, only for her to leave that bad energy behind in her cannon as she jumps to you with 9 grenades that are about to blow you to smithereens. If you thought you could get away or fight back, just remember that she still does have that purple stun / insta-kill button. For Gale though, the worst part about this matchup is when you're trying to approach him because you happen to have short range, but he taunts you as he twisters you and he casts a whirlwind of woe that makes you not a threat. While he does that though, he remains a threat himself the entire time. As for Colette, there's not really too much to go off besides the fact that her push-it star power can be really difficult to deal with. I mean, this ability and a good use can put her from being anti-tank to anti-assassin real fast. This also makes me jealous because of her taxing attacks. Like, you'll never see the IRS pushing me away like that. The worst part about facing a Belle is when your teammates don't understand the concept of personal space. I wish I had this bit on footage, but once I was playing ranked and my teammate got shot by Belle and then stood next to my Mr. P home base until it broke. These bouncing bolts are supposed to teach you social distancing. So what are you doing standing here while I take your damage? The worst part about facing Ashe is, quite frankly, when there's nothing you can do about the swarm of rats besides letting them crush into you, knowing very well that if you were a different brawler, you could have used one ammo to rid the world of all of them. Just why did I have to be B when I could have easily been BB? Now for Lola, I think I just have to award the worst part of her matchup to her hypercharged ego. Did you know that it does more damage than Lola herself if she doesn't have improvise active? That's literally true. So now, imagine how much damage the two of them do together. Not something I want to deal with. Take me off that set, please. Honestly, Sam isn't that difficult to deal with, but I think we can all just agree that his magnetic attraction gadget is the worst thing to deal with when you're on the other side. If he's pulling you in with it, that means he knows he can take you. If he knows he can take you, you might as well just close the app and go do your daily Duolingo. The worst part about playing against Mandy is when the knockout round starts and you were caught lacking, so this happens. There's no pretending it hasn't happened to everyone here. It's the fastest way you'll ever lose a match. The worst part about facing Maisie is how deadly her regular attacks are. Even though they're equally hard to hit at most ranges, this woman can very easily turn 9,000 HP into nothing just by aiming her white phone properly. Are we gonna talk about how this is deadlier than a double barrel shotgun? Against a Hank now, it's gotta be the lucky super that vaporizes you when you're RT or something. I mean, you had the ammo, you had the offense, but you just didn't have the kill. Where did I go wrong? Well, I guess I went wrong when I got too close to a pretentious pyrotechnic prawn. As for Pearl, it's probably gonna be when she hits you with that flame gadget. Instead of dying to it instantly, you have to let the agony sit and marinate before that happens. You know, like she's probably giving me time to go and buy actual cookies before the fire goes and finishes me off. The worst part about facing Larry and Lori is knowing how they get all the views. It started some live stream a little bit ago with Feet and all, but ever since they've been proving wrong to anyone that's ever called Brawl Stars dead with these view counts that they got this summer. Good job, Larry. Give me the views now. Against an Angelo, I've got to say the worst thing comes down to dealing with his maneuverability. Like, I was gonna take him down, but the stupid parasite buzzed over water and went out of reach. How was that fair? Against the Barry, I can't stand having the map covered in melted ice cream when he takes being a controller to the next level. They heal, we get hurt, but all things considered, imagine how awful the sound's gonna be after it's over and everyone has sticky shoes walking around on the floor. Shade's up next, and for him, I'd say it's pretty easy. The worst thing about dealing with a Shade is when he's in your walls and he's just attacking you relentlessly and your efforts to return the fire just don't work because, you know, he's inside the walls. I can't get too reckless here. I don't want my homeowner's insurance to get too high. Please, super, expire already. Against the Meeple, the worst part about facing him is when you're entrapped with this little board game box of doom and then left defenseless and have to play a little round of dodgeball from the oncoming fire. I did not sign up to be a pawn in this perilous playset, but here I am. Against the Trunk, there's nothing to hate about him, is what a liar would say. Sometimes Trunky gets a little too funky and then pops the hunky gadget that turns damage into heal and it makes him impossible to take down. Moving to Mythics, we have Mortis, and the worst thing about facing a Mortis is unlike that of every other brawler, the ego. Mortis mains are violent. They think that they are the best in this world, but in the end, they're just another bad random at the end of the day. I mean, look at Wasim, am I right? Next, we have Tara, who can be really pain-inducing when she sucks you in with her super, and it gives you an obnoxiously long period of no react time where the combination of both the pull and the knockback prevent you from reacting in any way, ultimately leading to your demise in almost any situation. Similarly, Gene gives us a pretty close answer, except I find it the absolute worst when he pulls me in Knockout. In most modes, a Gene pull is just a slap on the wrist, but here in Knockout, it's like a slap in the face with both hands at the same time. As for Max, the only thing I hate about facing her is seeing her. She's an awful brawler. I can't stand to play her, see her, think about her, or even make a video about her. She's lucky she got a spot in today's video. The worst part about facing Mr. P is having to deal with the constant swarm that he creates that you have to focus on the entire match. This is the Brawl Stars arena, not PPG Pain's arena. What is it with the Penguins pandemonium? Against the Sprout, and this is oddly specific, I cannot stand when they play a Sprout into my Chuck and then they think they're funny as they toss walls between my train posts and break my supers. This is rage-inducing, which by the way, friendly Sprouts are just as capable of doing this to me. When I'm facing a Byron, the worst thing I can imagine dealing with is getting hit by the crease of the super where the splash and the darts both hit, and this results in me probably getting one-shotted. Who in their right mind thought this was a good hypercharge to make? Against the Squeak, I don't care how many nerfs it takes, the residue gadget is just the worst. There's so many turns and corners of the map that Squeaks turn into slow zones, trapping me, getting me blasted, ruining the game, you know, all of that. Also, this gadget once lasted for 20 seconds. I figured I would just put that here. For Lou, it's again quite an easy aspect to complain about. Why on earth does he have to slide me around and stun me? I don't know which one's worse. Then there's his Frosty Frenzy Hypercharge, which is capable of ice ringing you and stunning you in the initial second. You'd be lucky to skate out of this one alive. Up against the roughs, I'm probably just gonna give it to his airstrike gadget. This thing pinballs me around like we're at the 8-bit arcade, and I did not sign up for this. What I did sign up for though is the Buzz Hate Club, initiating from the fact that this dinosaur can be so hard to escape at times. Thank you, Wasim. This brawler is the instrument of the inevitable, and he'll always find an angle to anchor his anger-inducing buoy and stun you until you're gone. Against a Fang, the worst thing about facing him is dealing with his supers that chain and hit your entire team. 1 second, you have control of the hot zone, and one Fang hypercharge later, you're dismantled before you even had time to BM the other team. Against Eve, it's super easy. The swarm of parasites, that's the nightmare. You think you have her handled, but then boom, there's another litter. This pestilent puddle of hatchlings is never-ending, it seems, and each one that lands gets her one shot closer to a hypercharge. Janet, though, it's that one moment in gem grab when you're on the verge of victory, but Janet, as the gem carrier, gets her super. After that, she flies away for the rest of the countdown, and there's literally nothing you can do. Better luck next time. As for Otis, it's not really his regular super anymore, but the hyper super. Now also losing the ability to run while Syl got you makes survival ever so much harder. I am not a fan of this. It's the very interaction I fear when I see a red-based Otis in the battlefield. Against Buster, is it just me, or is it the worst thing ever when he sneaks his super and you launch attacks thinking you're safe, only for them to come back to you because he was in a bush? I hate this.
Next up we have Gray. The worst part about facing this mime dude is when he knocks you to low HP and immediately teleports to you and finishes you off. It's standard but drives me crazy.
Especially when you tap to return fire, but it just doesn't go through. As for RT, the worst part about dealing with this total unit is picking Miko and ranked on safe zone, only for the enemy to respond with an RT pick, and then before you know it, you went 4-19 with Lightning Kudos because he parked at the safe the whole time. I so wish I was on the other side of this. The worst part about facing Willow is now when you decide to go RT in the next ranked match, and the Willow mind controls your head, kills it with your feet, and then your head respawns and your feet are still there, so the team kills your feet when you respawn so you die again. I swear, these are all true stories. Next up, we have the Glizzy Gladiator himself. The worst part about playing against a Doug is when he seems to eternally keep his teammates alive with quick healing, and then when you can finally take one down, the sausage gets shoved down their throat and they remain alive for yet another wave of this crash out causing calamity. When I face a Chuck, the worst part is just when you try to get his supercharge off of him, but he has no interest in that and constantly retreats because it's heist and he's base racing the whole match, and he can even end up winning without doing any damage to you. As for Charlie, let's flip it around a tiny bit. The worst part about facing Charlie is when you pick Chuck or something and you're basically the offensive enforcer for your team, but you keep getting cocooned and you are only able to do an emote or two while you're in there and nothing else. Against the Monkey, it drives me near insane when he jumps on me first and I lose an ammo, and then he jumps on me a second time and I fire and my shot misses because he jumped again, and now somehow this bouncing bedlam ends up hitting 3 shots on me before I even did any damage. How did this happen? Facing a Melody becomes a total chore when it's a thin Wally map and she sits there chopping you to pieces through the walls while you're trapped defenseless. This is a true event that happens far too often in Hot Potato, and let me tell you, it is anything but hot when I'm trying to endure this chaos. Thank you, no. The next Brawler, let me surprise you. The match just started, you're running in to join the action, you get ready to attack, and then poof, you're dead. You forgot they had a Lily, and the rest of the story tells itself. Against the Clancy, I think the only bad thing about facing him is when he manages to get stage 3 in like 15 seconds, and then you have to deal with this crustacean catastrophe that blasts you and your team for the whole rest of the match. Against the Mo, I don't know. When I play Mo, his super seems impossible to fill, but suddenly when this mouse is on the other team, he's charged with a hyper by the end of the knockout game, and he chooses me as a victim. I am not honored. Any real Juju main knows how annoying slow effects are. So with that being considered, are you surprised that my least favorite things about dealing with Juju are 1, a slowing needle Gregory, and 2, Juju's water attacks. The water attacks are rare, but when it hits, it makes me want to bang my head off a wall. Against Ollie, hold on, let's take a second to laugh. His hypercharge got nerfed anyways. The worst part is when you're hypnotized and it should totally be ending soon, but it doesn't. You're trapped in a rhythm you can't control, and the madness lingers relentlessly as you spam all the buttons that just don't function. Facing against a Finks can be so irritating for something as simple as a well-timed super. I mean, that time warp counters everything. What are you gonna do when he tosses his super down right as you launch, like, I don't know, a Brawler hypercharge or something? Against Lumi, I didn't even have to think for this one. It's her Ice Rink gadget. Supercell, wanna nerf them again? They deserve it. Even after that nerf, it still wouldn't have been enough. Against the Drunkard, there's almost a theatrical cruelty to how quickly he can sip the support bottle and change the tide of war. I mean, 1 second he has hasty friends, and the next he has fully healed the assassin before I got a chance to finish them off. Constantly losing the games to this behavior makes me want to act like Jaeyoung in real life. Oh, and by that, I just mean sing karaoke, nothing else. Against an ally, it's when you're in the grass and she attacks like a Mika who drank a rage bottle, being able to jump 3 times way too quickly and dodging your attacks, also possibly taking you down because her damage is actually kind of high. Against Amina, the worst part about facing her is facing her. She did get a nerf or two, but she's still meta and kind of insanely broken. I'd rather just watch her dance from afar instead of watch her dance onto my end screen while I see minus 156 ranked elo. Now how do I get masters? Against a Ziggy, I don't really know how he could possibly be annoying. Maybe that one gadget that makes him spam zap you, that could get pretty repetitive. Overall, he's just missing his attacks and I don't mind it. The worst part about facing a Spike is not having the ability to dodge a curveball like Mr. Leprask. This man will never get hit by a Spike attack no matter how hard you try, and this is hard to comprehend. He takes down even the best of the best.
This is why I retired.
Crow is the next unit, and he's annoying to deal with all over. Primarily though, the multitude of effects that come from his poison. I'm talking of course about the reduced damage, the massive reduction in the healing potential, the possible slow, interrupt to regeneration. Should I keep going? This brawler is the first brawler I would ban if we were on the last star standing island, no doubt. Not sorry either, Lex. Leon now, he's the OG Invisibler. It's a shame that this ability was taken over by like 11 others, but it's still arguably pretty difficult to handle when he pops up out of nowhere and sticks you with fidget spinners like the ninja he is, ultimately taking you down. Against Sandy, I mean, the super duper temporary silencing from his hyper super can be pretty painstaking to deal with. I don't got much to complain about Sandy though, we're chill like that. Amber though, she's a complete different story. We go back to the familiar concept of being set on fire and knowing doom is on its way, but first you gotta wait for it to arrive. Like, she just hit preheat on your oven and now you have to wait until it's ready as you face the impending doom. That Meg swing should not have hit me. Do you ever find yourself saying that? Yeah, well I do, and I will continue saying it. Sometimes I get domed by Megarm that should not have reached me, but now what can I do at this point? That's the worst part of facing her. The worst part about facing Surge is when he jumps, dodges your attacks, and then lands on you to interrupt your next attack, and then he lasers you 2 or 3 times to finish you off. Nothing else needs to be said. But for Chester, the worst thing has got to be when he ends up getting the best super for the scenario and you're left to rot or be screwed. Because the luck-based lunacy this Chester brings to the battlefield is so good that this player should be in Vegas, not on the John playing a phone game. Against Cordelius, I think it's still gotta be Poison Mushroom. He has so many counters to everything, and no matter who you are, he's almost always a good counter, and in the right situation, he can silence you for long enough to end your puny existence. Against a Kit, it's Kit. Kit is Kit, and Kit will always be Kit, and we have Kit's Hypercharge and Kit's regular attack, and everything about Kit's overall Kit is annoying. More annoying than a Brawl Stars content creator saying the word Kit 10 times in however many seconds this was. Draco, it's yet again his Hypercharge. I would love to have a conversation with whoever decided it should have the range it has. Like, why is it like this? Kenji, yeah. I cannot stand when I attack him. He's basically one shot, but then he vanishes because he's a super, so I can't fight him. And after that, he hits enough shots that when he's in my sight again, he has a lot more health that he shouldn't have. This drives me nuts. And finally for Kaze, it's just everything about her. She's too unpredictable, her 1-star power cancels Hank attacks, and sometimes she spawn kills, and it's just all that fun stuff. GG's. If you watched this far, comment your least favorite brawler. Use code Jimbo.